Welcome back, guys, to the next podcast. How was your week?
Great. Yours, great to see everyone again.
That's a good first question, Luke. There you go. Luke is in Milton Keynes, UK, and Alexandra is in the underestimated and underappreciated Romania. And I am Dave Canyon, and I am in the United States, New York State, upstate to be more specific. And we are here winging another episode of a worldwide travel podcast where we ask questions and dispel myths about travel and all that other stuff. And here we are, the three of us. We have many other people that are a part of this cast. Some can make it on a Saturday, and some can't. So this is us. So Luke, what do you have for us today?
So I have a thing called the English mentality. So basically, I'll just give a quick run through of it. My family, my dad, my brother, and 90% of Facebook, when I look at Facebook and they're at the airport, they're going on holiday. Have a look, I wonder where they're going. Oh, it's Spain. And then my dad has been to Spain about 8 or 9 times. My brother's been to Spain around 5 or 6 times. So this really frustrates me because,
You've never
there's so
been to
much else
Spain.
to see in the world than just the same country after the same country every year.
That's interesting. Alexandra, in your part of your world, are there places that people mostly go all the time and you're a little bit sick of hearing how they go all the time?
Yeah, actually, there is. Like, people will often go to Greece, and Bulgaria is another big one. So people will tend to, that go every year. Although I haven't asked, but I haven't heard of anyone going 8 times, 9 times, 6. Maybe
Wow.
I just don't know. But
Uh,
but do you think that it's and then I'll also ask the same question to you, Dave. But I was just like, do you think that's just an English thing? I think
no.
it's like a lack of curiosity thing that can occur pretty much everywhere in the world, right?
There you go. So we have the English mentality, we have the Romanian mentality, which is Bulgaria and Greece. And I will tell you, the New Yorker, not so much United States, but the New Yorker mentality, ever since I was a little boy. So I am of a man of a certain age right now. It doesn't matter what number that is. But ever since I was a little boy, that mentality has been Florida. It's always been Florida. It's been mostly Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And really, for a lot of people in the United States, it's been Disney World, I think. Disneyland is California. Disney World is Florida. So there's a big mentality that you got to go to Florida. I mean, there's Myrtle Beach and there's other places, but really, ever since I was a little boy, my family never went to Florida until one particular day, but I was already a teenager in high school. So every Christmas break, every Easter break, it would always be, or winter break, whatever you want to call it, I would always have to hear how all the wealthy kids, went to Florida. And my family never went to Florida. So we went to Pennsylvania. It's a whole other world. Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where the Amish live. We went to where the Amish go. If I don't know if everybody listening to this podcast is aware of Amish. It's a whole different society. So we went a little bit low budget, and all my friends, not my all my friends, but a lot of them went to Florida. So we have a New York American mentality, we have an English mentality, and we have a Romanian mentality. And this show, we like to dispel myths. We like to have these conversations and maybe open up people to new ways of travel, which Luke, you love to do. You love to go somewhere new and different. So tell us more about your experiences with this constant Spain round trip thing and your family and your friend and your coworkers. So this really bothers you for a long time.
It does
What can we
because
say? Where do we go with this?
because it frustrates me a lot because there's so much other places in the world to see, and they think, I won't go to Italy or Greece or France because it's too expensive and blah blah blah. But me and Nelly are going to Switzerland this year, and we did a round trip for £70. So there's deals to be found.
Well, yeah, but wait until you get there. Like that's that's not the biggest problem. The plane tickets, sure, but wait until you get there. But
Yeah.
you know, what it is, I think, sorry, Dave, I was just gonna say, like, the thing is that people probably, like with most people who just make, an average wage, right? They don't really have necessarily a lot of money to spend on travel. And so they maybe tend to go to a place where they know for sure they're gonna have a good time,
Yeah,
because experience has proven that to be the case, right? And they also know it's, they're not gonna risk spending their money or wasting their holidays, taking days off from work, and just not having a good time and not liking it. Like, why go through it? So I sort of, understand why people would choose to do that. Like, what do you think about that?
yeah, I understand, but well, there's an even worse side of the English mentality. Like, there's some people I know that just go to stay in a caravan in a field in England. That's even worse than going to Spain.
Worse.
All right. So for everybody in the United States, a caravan we would call a camper, right?
Yeah,
We would call a camper. All right.
yeah,
So you are already in the UK, and you're saying people will take that caravan, a camper,
yeah,
an RV, recreational vehicle, and just go down the road to a campground
yeah,
or some
Not
place to.
even,
What's that?
or not even, just to the countryside, right?
Just to the countryside and live somewhere else, maybe 30 kilometers or 30 miles down the road and live out of their caravan
yeah,
or their camper. So that is also something that you are a little bit bothered by. You want them to
very,
go even further.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell you, I know where I live, because so this show is going to have a little bit of an issue with kilometers and miles. I really have to get a cheat sheet. We all have to get a cheat sheet. But I have a town just south of me, one exit on the New York State Thruway called Kingston. My neighbors right now outside this house is a campground. I live in between two campgrounds. My face is my house. This is the Rip Van Winkle campground, and this is what they call now Auto Camp. Auto Camp. It used to be the KOA campground, K for Campgrounds of America, something like that. They misspelled campgrounds because it's funny. So anyway, so now it's all Airstreams. Does everybody know what an Airstream is? It's
no,
No.
that it's that soda can chrome or silver camper. It's been around since the 40s or the 50s.
Oh,
Yeah, it looks like futuristic, but it's just I don't know how to explain it. But it's all very shiny when it's new. When it gets older, it gets a little dull. But anyway, they're very expensive and they're just shaped like a tube, like a metal soda can. Anyway, so auto camp is like glamping. It's all campers. There's no cabins. There's no tents. It's all campers. Anyway, so I live in between them. People will come from one town south, the next town. I already live in upstate New York, which is more country. New York City is 100 miles south. They will come up one town and they'll stay here all summer. They live right down the road, but they will stay in the woods all summer. There's a pool, there's a river, a creek, which is pretty much always flowing, and it's in the woods. It's all woods, and there's a lot of kids. And so if you have a family, I guess it's okay. It's interesting that you'll spend all this money just to go one town south and in a caravan or a camper in the woods, and you'll do this year after year, and you'll make a whole life of it. Maybe April, May, June, July, August, and definitely by Labor Day in America, September, you're done. So it's like, yeah, maybe 3, 4 months, 5 months, maybe. And not just in the weekends. They'll stay up here all week long, but anytime they want, they could just go home and get what it's weird. It's one town. So that's a little bit of the New York, my local mentality, but not many people. It's very few. So anyway, Luke, that's pretty much what you're talking about is going down the road with a caravan. It doesn't seem like travel to you. Is that what you're saying? Is that
no.
what's your issue?
Because it's not adventure. It's not travel, as you said. Because they go and stay in a field with no amenities. There's no bar. There's no restaurant. There's nothing to do. It's just a
but maybe,
field.
sorry to interrupt. Maybe that's the appeal, don't you think?
Yeah.
Well, then if that's the appeal, then
Just
you
turn
can
off the lights of your house
you
and
can just stay in your garden. It's the same.
just go live in a car.
Pull the plug. Just pull the plug. No electricity to the house. There you go. Why even go down the road? You can just disconnect the electricity in your house.
Just go to the breaker panel, just switch everything off.
That's Hey guys, we're on holiday. All right, there you go. Sure.
But I think
Why
it's
not?
like if you have kids, and I don't have any kids, so this is just speculation. But I think that if you have kids, like maybe that's very interesting to expose your kids to, right? Because they can, in a city, they always have, they're always connected to the internet. They always, they're always on that tablet, on the phone, on the computer, whatever. So they probably very rarely get the chance to see what life can be, without all of those amenities and
Yeah.
conveniences and everything, right? So, and that's a great experience for the kids, I think. I
You
mean,
know,
obviously, I know that they can. Sorry, I'll just let you speak in a second.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot to learn, from like trips abroad and going to the museums and all that. But there's also like something to be said about seeing, what other ways of life can be, right? Can exist.
so, as you said, it's maybe for the kids, but then for the kids, do you think like after they've been to Spain for the 17th time, that they think, oh, it's like a nudge in the right direction. Like when I'm older, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to have a better job than my parents, and I'm going to travel more extensively than this
Yeah.
in the future, in
You
my
know,
future.
Luke, I totally hear what you're saying. I'm not exactly sure, but I bet you I could do some research and I could find you in the United States. I don't know about the rest of the world. How many cities are called Ocean City, Oceanside, Surf City, Surfside, or beach, whatever. We have so many repetitive areas on the New York, New Jersey, East Coast line, on the Atlantic Ocean, and it's all the same thing. It's pier. Do we all know what a pier is?
Yes.
A jetty or pier. Pier. Roller coaster. Tilt a whirl. Teacup ride. Roller coaster for the kids. Go karts. It's and the carnival games. When you go down to the Jersey Shore, they call it the Jersey Shore. It's so repetitive, and it doesn't matter which ocean city you go to or which ocean side you go to. It's all the same thing. Cotton candy, bad food, all bad food, bad ice cream, bad bucket hats. These people are bucket hats. They're buying captain's hats. It's just such a Wildwood, New Jersey, and there's so many places if you look on the Jersey coastline. But it's all the same thing. It's nothing different. But mom and dad in the United States have grown up to thinking probably all over the world, yeah, we should go to this place because it's by the water, right? It has amusement park rides. It has food that kids like, even though it's really bad for them. It'll help explain their behavior because they're eating like crap. And it's a way to spend money. And the people that work there need this job. These are not high level jobs. These are boardwalk amusement park jobs. These are what do you call them? Carnivals. I forgot the word for these people who work the carnivals. So anyway, it's the way that it works, but it. Luke, I understand what you're saying. It's like, where's the adventure in this? Where's the expansion of your brain and your experience? But you know what? People grow up that way. This is their channel. This is where they're comfortable with, and their friends do it. Their family has done it. They do it, and now they're just repeating it and setting up a situation for the children. It is odd in a way. I think, Luke, you are the exception to the rule, where you and your wife think about where can we go that nobody else goes to, or how can we make things different. And maybe, Luke, more specifically with you, I want to speak to your therapist. I think you have. I want to know what happened in your life because but I feel your pain. I'm not making fun. I really agree with you. It is interesting that as a we don't do it as New Yorkers. We don't do it as Americans, and we don't do it as in the entire world. How do we get more of this, exchange of culture, which would probably create more peace than anything, by visiting other people's countries? It's a different person, Luke. You're different. Alexandra's different. I'm different. Where we participate in a show like this, where we want to talk about this type of travel. We're not talking about local travel. We're not doing the local, 30-mile, 40-mile trip. It's interesting. You have a different perspective, and That's a whole nother show that we could do, or we could do it today. What happened to Luke at the age,
Right.
to little Luke, 8 years old, that you went, hey, this is different. I don't want to do this as I get older. I want to be different. Something happened to you,
Well,
which is fine.
to be honest, I didn't really fly until I was 30. So,
Oh.
um,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's a great question that we should ask people in our questionnaire. When was your first flight? That's fascinating. 30. What happened,
Yeah.
Luke? What, if you
Um,
can share with us? I should be more
I was
considerate.
more ingrained in going to watch sport and stuff like this. Then I found that like there's more out there in the world. I'm just wasting my time. I'm not wasting my time. It's hard to explain, but I
No,
was
I get it.
enjoying watching sport, but I wanted more.
Like you
When did
wanted to
you?
experience more in life, basically. Sorry, Dave.
No,
I
no.
just is to ask Luke, like maybe do you think that it's and I don't want this to turn into like therapy session for Luke, but do you think like you're maybe trying to prevent other people from going down that path where you're just doing the same things over and over again and just becoming really comfortable and you fail to go out there and explore? Because like if you said that you've only flown for the first time when you were 30, that means that you're now like maybe you have this desire to make up for lost time and also wanting other people to not go down the same path, I suppose. Like we're saying it like you did something like super negative, like you went down the wrong path, like not in that sense, but just trying to promote this idea that there's so much to be seen and so much to be experienced, right?
Yeah, and since I met Nelly, we've been together 3 years, and we've been to 12 countries.
Wow.
So I thought, with us traveling so much, this would inspire, especially my brother and my dad, to think like, wow, it is so accessible to go in other countries, and we can have a good experience.
And how did you realize that you were missing out? What was it that
There wasn't
Hmm.
so- there wasn't like an epiphany or something like that, but I just thought, I don't know, really.
Well, Luke, let me share something with you during this little moments of silence here. I used to do a lot of sport myself, as you would say, sport. In New York, we have two football teams. We have the New York Jets and we have the New York Giants, which, they were terrible for a long time. And I would, on Sundays, right, which is our day, our football day, FOOT, not FUT, but they were horrible for the longest time. But I grew up with sports, right? And I would watch Jets and Giants. I would watch the Mets and the Yankees. I would watch basketball and hockey. And you know what? Our teams would lose a lot. We would lose plenty. And I know you're a fan of Coventry. And I don't know Coventry's history over the years, but I remember there would be a lot of nights on Sunday where, by the way, so I'm blue collar, right? I'm working all the time, whether I'm driving a bus or a truck or whatever. And then I have my wife and my dogs, and before my son was born. But what would happen to me is that Sunday PM, 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. when the games are over, and both of my teams lost, and I would sit there and I'd be like, I just spent all day watching TV, and my teams disappointed me, and now I feel terrible. I feel worse at 7 p.m. than I did when I was optimistic at 1 p.m. that both of my teams would win or at least give me a good game. So, Luke, I wonder if there's a relationship there that you have a similar experience where you go, why am I spending so much time watching, well, in America, watching millionaires have fun? They're having fun. They are doing their job poorly, but they're losing. But they're doing their job, and I'm sitting here watching. And then at 7 o'clock, it's like, well, time to eat dinner, I guess, and then go to sleep. Monday, I got to go back to work. My life hasn't changed one bit. So that's my epiphany. I did have an epiphany. There was a time where I said, no more. I'm not sitting here all Sunday and just watching sport and then feeling bad about myself, about my teams losing. And then, so is there something in that you can relate to, Luke? I don't want to disparage Coventry.
I used to go to watch my team in random towns, like traveling 3 hours to some small town, which is not very inspiring, let's just say. And then win, lose or draw, travel home, and I'm spending my life in small towns. Like I could be in Italy, I could be in any country like you can think of
Mm,
instead.
So
got it.
the travel element was still there. So you just naturally came to the conclusion that, I can maybe expand this route.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Instead of traveling to a small town, you wanted to travel to a country because it just wasn't rewarding for you at some point. Is that what you're saying,
Well,
Luke?
there's so much I want to see, and I haven't managed to see everything.
Right,
Like top of my list was to see the Colosseum in Rome, and I was
right.
there 2 years ago, and it's an incredible place. And another thing that frustrates me is, Alexandra, you've been to Italy.
Right.
Do you know what the closest restaurant is to the Vatican?
The closest restaurant or restroom, you said? The closest.
Restaurant.
Oh,
I want to know restroom, by the way. When she's done, I need to know the nearest restroom. But go ahead, Alexandra. Tell us about the closest restaurant.
that's a great question. I have no idea. I didn't really, like I don't want to.
What's the answer, Luke?
It's not going to surprise you.
Go
It's
ahead.
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Closest restaurant to the Vatican.
Wow. What's the distance?
It's 1 minute probably.
Yeah, it's
Walking.
like,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
I wonder if the
I want.
Pope goes there for his lunch.
What's that?
I wonder if the Pope goes there for his lunch.
Well, it could be explain his health if he does. I want to see that on Google Maps. I want to see Vatican, the red. I want to see the pin for Vatican and then the pin for McDonald's and like the walking distance. Maybe we can edit that into the show one time. That'd be really funny. Wow,
Maybe
that's
he's
really amazing. That's kind of sad in a way, isn't it, Luke?
maybe he's ordering food on Uber Eats. The
But it's
Pope.
too cool. I don't think they delivered that close. 'Cause it's like,
Yeah, really. Wow.
but
So, go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna ask. Was that was that a dream that you had your whole life? I mean, because it didn't suddenly pop into existence when you were 30. I assume it was like, I mean, you had heard about it for sure, for way before that. So it was just something that you always wanted to do, but it was like in a remote future, or how
It
did it come
seemed
about?
like when I was younger, it seemed like it was so close, but so yet so far away at the same time. Like because before I met Nelly, I was with another woman, and but before that, I was single for a while, and I was thinking, oh, when I have a girlfriend, I'm going to travel, and then yeah, and then when I had my girlfriend before Nelly, she was Polish, and we just travelled a lot to Poland
Oh,
again and again and again. So it's the same mentality. But
the
yeah,
Polish
travel,
mentality.
yeah.
I'm sure. So I bet you every country has its mentality. We should ask every guest, does their country have a specific mentality? That round trip, that easy round trip. By the way, it's good for business, Luke. In America, we have JetBlue, and JetBlue really started, I think, with the Florida, New York connection for like $69. Before that, it was People's Airways. We had this airline called People's years ago, and Spirit. All these. There's so many airlines now, and you really have to find a route. A lot of this is business related. You have to find a route that's going to make you money. I don't know how anybody in the airline industry makes any money at all,
I don't think
but
they do though, right? They're
yeah, it seems like it's always a bad proposition to start an airline because they don't last except for the legacy ones. And, it's all so expensive. And your insurance and your risk, the liability must be incredible on an airline. And if you have to buy a Boeing airplane, boy, that sounds like trouble to me. So I don't know how they do it. But yeah, I'm assuming a lot of the mentality, the English mentality of going to Spain, and now the Romanian mentality of what was it, Belize? What was it? Belgium.
oh,
Yeah,
that would be nice to know.
yeah,
That'd be
Belgium, not
actually
Belize. Right. And
no, it,
definitely the New Yorker one of going to Florida. It's commercial. It's like the business, unless you drive,
uh,
or take a train. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. If you fly, you need reliable flight. So a lot of it has to do with the industry just creating this. Plus, with us in Florida, Disney World was like
Yeah.
totally the destination. So probably more Disney World than Key West. Key West is the very tip, the peninsula at the end. So, so Luke, it's we didn't know there was anybody before Nelly, so I'm a little bit surprised actually. Thanks for sharing that with us. That's great. But so you went to Poland. You've been to Poland.
Been to Poland 5 times, yeah.
So tell us about Poland. Is there a Polish mentality, or tell
Yeah.
us about that? Yeah, we this is
Like
new
it
to
was,
us.
I'm
sorry,
not
look,
sure.
before you go on, I was just gonna say, you're not that different to your fellow countrymen. You just changed the destination. They traveled to Spain 5 times, but
Yeah,
so
yeah.
So yeah, we travelled to Poland a few times to spend with their family and stuff like that. So yeah, Poland's a nice country.
was there anything that you like? Would you have considered going there before? Was that maybe like going there? Did it make you realize that, oh my God, like there are so many places that are different to where I'm from that I maybe want to experience?
Yeah, of course, yeah. It was on my list to visit actually
Oh, it was on
before.
your list. Okay.
Wow.
And on Nelly, so when we was in Brazil, I was speaking with her family, and I was asking Nelly as well. Um, some of her family have never left Brazil in their life.
Oh yeah. Also, like most people of Romania have never left Romania.
Wow.
But I think that's maybe true for most countries, right? Most people
That
don't.
would be an interesting statistic to know how many people don't even leave their neighborhood. I know people that barely ever leave my little whatever you so in America, so it's New York is the state, and then inside the state there are cities, inside the cities there are counties, inside the counties are communities, and I guess you can even go with hamlets. There are very small hamlets or villages, and I happen to know a couple of neighbors of mine that like never leave. I know they never leave. I can't. But I've been a truck driver and a bus driver my whole entire life. So I've been all over the Northeast of the United States, and I've flown to different states. So for me, it's not unusual, but for them, just getting in the car and crossing the border to the next county is probably a lot for them.
So
It's
that's
probably
amazing. Like
yeah.
they can't see past the end of their nose, basically.
Well, there must be reasons, and I don't know how we would find out what those reasons are without offending them. But
Yeah,
that's an interesting perspective of this show is dispelling these myths of travel. Why is it? What is the percentage of people? So if there's 100% of everybody in the world, what is the percentage of people you didn't fly to when you were 30? I
yeah,
flew at the age of 6. 6 years old, I flew. I went to Disneyland in California, but we didn't go there specifically for Disneyland. I think we just went there to visit family. But I was a little boy. I didn't know. I was just holding onto my mother's hand. That's it, trying not to be a pain in the butt. But it's interesting. What are the statistics of travel and why people wait till 30 or later, and who some people are more willing to take a bus. Some people don't want to fly at all. Some people
Yeah.
love trains. In America, trains are very expensive. Some people like to drive. Some people, I don't know. It's interesting. But Luke, I was surprised by that. By 30, that's quite an admission on your part. 30. Alexandra, when did you first fly?
20. Like
20.
Yeah,
Wow.
for me it was like I think I mentioned this before. I was born in 1990, right? So in 1989, that's when the old regime got taken down, right? So in the 90s, everyone was poor, so I didn't think that I would ever afford to. I just
Wow.
didn't have. We didn't have the means. We were just everyone was. A lot of the majority of people were living in poverty. Well, not extreme, but people were just barely getting by. So that wasn't even a thing. Like I wasn't even dreaming about taking a plane. I was thinking like it would be so cool to do it, but in my mind as a kid, it was just something that only rich people could afford to do. And I was, thinking like I will never, I'll never manage to do that. That's too
Yeah.
expensive and that's too, like it's such a remote possibility. Like completely out of my realm, you know. So that was the
Wow.
thing, and that pretty much stayed, you know, the that was the status quo, I guess, for a long time. So it was just wasn't something that people could afford.
Wow. Have either one of you ever traveled by bus, like long distance by bus?
For me, so I came into this world living to travel. So like when I was 16, I would hitchhike to the neighboring town. Yeah, I
Wow.
hitchhiked all like as a
Wow.
teenager to Romania. I would just tell my mom, you know, I'm leaving, and I would just go.
Okay, new show. New show. Forget about mentality. Let's talk about Alexandra hitchhiking. Alexandra, you are how old? You're in Romania. What city? And you're getting on the road with your thumb? You're just sticking your
Yeah,
thumb out?
I'm just sticking my thumb out, and this is before cell phones, right? I didn't. Anything could have happened. I didn't think that far ahead. Like, cause I was a teenager. I was like 15, 16 maybe. So I kind of did that all throughout
By
my
yourself?
teenage
Alone?
by myself. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes I would, you know, do it with another friend or a couple of friends. But the majority of those times when I did that, yeah, it was all by myself, and I was
Where
all
were you where were you going?
all over the place. Like where one time I wanted to go to, so I had a friend who lived in a neighboring town, which was like I don't know, you can get there in like 20 minutes by driving, right? So it wasn't that big of a deal.
Okay.
And there was also a bus and a train, but I was broke and I couldn't afford not even that, and that was cheap even then. I was cheap, but I was so broke I couldn't afford that because I was just like a
You're
teenager and I
six
had
yeah,
money.
yeah. So
And yeah,
so how successful were you in
I
your
100% success. Like I never,
what was that?
100% success. I never failed.
So
I,
who's stopping their car? Tell us. I mean, I can only imagine who is stopping your car, and how does that work? You're on the side of the road. Here comes a
yeah.
car. What happens?
You know what? It's not creeps. Like I can tell you that it's not. I've never come into anyone like that. And that maybe I was just lucky, you know, because
Yeah.
a lot of the time people, especially children, young women, you know, they're not that lucky. But I was lucky enough to where I think that the drivers who stopped were probably the people who wanted to prevent things like that from happening to me. And
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
and just decided to give me a ride precisely to, you know, make sure that, you know, someone decent would take me to wherever I was going. So, and they would like tell me, it's not a, it's, what if they would like also, try to
Right.
educate me, like, what if some creep, what if some weirdo would have stopped, like try not
Yeah.
to do this. So they would, yeah, but very kind people. I've never run into anyone.
And they would ask you, where are you heading? Where do you want to go? And you would say what?
Oh, it was pretty obvious because there's just one road between those two towns. You don't really have
That's
another.
right, because Romania is really bad with the roads. You could only go so far.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. And
yeah.
so and then you'd have to work your way back at some point.
Which I would, yeah, hitchhike back.
Alexander, you are lucky to be alive, I think. I got to tell you,
For
somebody is
sure,
watching you
for
for
sure.
sure. So you
For
admit
sure.
that.
I do
Luke,
admit that. I do admit that.
Luke, that's crazy. You and I didn't know that about Alexandra. Every show we're learning something. So wow, she's hitchhike. I did hitchhike as well. I don't know if I ever got picked up, but I had a bicycle. When I grew up, we rode our bikes everywhere. We were crazy. We had legs, man. We could pedal forever. And I would take a day off from school. In America, we call that cutting out. I don't know what you call that in the rest of the world, but we would cut out from school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
International phenomenon too, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And we would just ride and ride. I can't even imagine riding my bike around the corner now, but around the block. But back then, we would just spend the day. We'd go down to the beach. It was so much fun being on that adventure. But wow, Alexandra, God bless you, man. You're alive to talk about it. When was the last time? What was the oldest you were where you hitchhiked, and what stopped you from continuing?
I
Did you
started making money. That's the thing. Like, that's what stopped me. It's
you
very
just
simple.
make money and you now can afford another way of traveling? All right. Do you think you could possibly hitchhike today in your country?
Yeah, I could, but the thing is that and some people still do, like there's a ride sharing app that allows just regular drivers, will post, I'm going to this town this whatever Sunday. And I have like, I don't know, 1, 2 seats in my car. Anybody want to join? And a lot of people, they will not really charge you any money, or they'll charge you like some, I don't know, $10, not even $10, like something like very, like
Right.
just very small amount.
Wow.
And, but usually people who do that, they just wanna travel, but they want to talk to someone because it just gets boring, right?
Right, right.
So
Yeah. Well, I'm about to take a 16-hour trip this Tuesday morning to Gainesville, Florida from New York. And I gotta tell you, I don't know if I want to ride with anybody, and I don't know if I want to ride with a stranger, because if it goes good, if I'm picking up Alexandra, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna have a nice conversation. But if I pick up, maybe not Luke, but if I pick up somebody else, I'm like, I don't want this guy in my car for 16 hours. I don't know if he's clean. Is he trustworthy? Is he going to rob me? There's a lot of suspicion, here in the United States. But Alexander, what year was this that you were doing all this hitchhiking? What years?
so I was 15, so it must have been 2005, 2006.
Wow, it's
And yeah,
amazing.
well, I mean, it's pretty, maybe it is, I don't know. For me, it was just normal. I just,
And you were living with your mom, you just said, or?
yeah, I was living, so at the time, for the most part, yeah, I was living with my mom. For the most part, I mean, for the most part, because I'm saying that because I kind of did this all throughout my teenage years, and sort of started living on my own when I was 16, 17, something like that. But I wasn't paying for my bills or anything. Like my parents, my mom was still providing, but she lived
Right.
in the same building, just different floor. It's a very interesting setup.
Right. So what is that conversation like? Like, is she going like, Alexandra, you're killing me. I can't take this. You try, there must have been some great, I'm assuming, I don't want to, we don't have to delve into your personal life, but must have been some great concern. No,
Um,
Romania is just okay.
no, it's not. It's not that. It's just that my parents lived under communism, and
Oh,
they
okay.
had, and my mom in specific, she had her dad was very strict. So she wasn't allowed to go out anywhere. She wasn't allowed to do anything fun. She wasn't allowed to meet with friends, like let alone boyfriends. Oh my God, that was like the absolute sin that you
Right.
could commit. And so she wanted to be the opposite of that, right? Like we're finally in democracy, and my parents, like both my mom and my dad, they instilled this in me from a very young age that the most important value in life is liberty, and that you need to like worship that, right?
Wow.
And they did, and they behaved in a way where they through their actions they supported it. So they were never controlling. They were never like, oh, you're killing me, like you said. That they were never. I'm sure in their mind, in their heart, they were sick with some of the things that I chose to do, but they never interfere. So like not even like from a very young age, you're like, if that's what you want to do, like you just
Wow.
do that,
Good
right?
for you. Good for you. Well, that is part of worldwide travel, even local travel, bus, train. I never thought that we would discuss hitchhiking on this podcast, Luke. Luke, have you ever thumbed a ride?
Never.
Never.
But
Wow.
I have travelled by bus. When I was a
Right.
kid, my first time abroad was with my mum, and we went by bus to Spain, but
Still
we
to
went we went through we went through France and to Spain. Yeah,
You did. How old were you when you went by bus?
15, I think.
All right. Wow. And so is that your first major? Because flying was, you said 30. So bus is 15. Was that your first like mass transit type of deal? Right.
Yeah,
Your moment.
yeah.
Wow. What was that like for you? Tell us about traveling. How long was the trip? And who did you go with? Tell us about that.
I was with my brother and my mum and my stepdad and my
All right.
stepbrother.
Oh wow. That's like 5 people, I think. Right. I lost count. So 5 people, and you're on a motor coach, right? Not a city bus. You're on a coach.
No, the coach. Yeah,
Whatever. Yeah, yeah. And wow. So how long was the trip to Spain?
I think it was a week. I can't really
a
remember.
week.
No, no. It doesn't take a week to get to Spain. You
No, no.
spent. Oh,
Oh, the
Oh, the
trip.
whole
Oh,
trip, you mean?
oh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't really remember, to be honest.
Okay, that's okay. So what was that like? What was it like getting on a bus? What was that like for you?
It was as just adventure. Like, oh, we're not going to the next town now. We're going another country. We're exploring.
Wow. So yeah, so that was good for you. Did you sit by the window?
Oh, I can't remember.
No?
I remember
Oh,
sitting by the window.
no. So do you remember the bus ride at all? You didn't have any music. You didn't have a Walkman, a Discman, a radio, transistor radio, anything.
Sister
Did
radio.
you what did you do with it? You don't remember, do you remember the bus trip at all? Did you
Not
eat?
really.
Did you have any puzzles? A coloring book? Nothing. You've blacked it out. You've blacked it out.
Must have been really, really pleasant if you blocked it out entirely.
There you go. All right, that's fine. That's fine. Did you do school buses when you were young?
No.
No. See, I started with school buses. I think I got lucky as a young boy. I did school buses at the age of 6, and my parents, my father would always get a new car every 4 years. We weren't wealthy. He just would run those cars to the ground for his job, and we would get a new car, and we would go up and down what's called the New Jersey Turnpike and the New York Thruway, and they were always into traveling. And every movie I ever watched as a child, I was so intrigued by travel. I always wanted to travel. So I got that in me young. It's amazing I don't do it for a career. I really should have I'm amazed I didn't work in the travel industry. And my father worked for a long time at the airport, at Kennedy Airport. So I would go with my mother. I think we went by bus or train. I don't remember how. It's funny. I don't remember how we got to the airport. That's interesting. So Luke doesn't remember his bus ride. I don't remember how we got there, but we were there, and we would wait for my father to finish working, and we waited at this place where it was all these windows. It was just all windows, and there was a helicopter company called Big Apple Helicopter or New York Helicopter, and I would watch him take off. I couldn't keep my eyes off the window. My fingerprints were all over this window, and I'd be watching. There was nothing else for me to do. I didn't need any toys. I didn't need color books. I would go watch helicopters take off and land all day long. And Pan Am used to exist back in the day, Pan American Airlines. So we go to a different terminal way before 9/11, and we'd go to the roof of the parking lot, and you could watch all the runways from Kennedy. And if you put a quarter in the machine, you know those machines, you put a quarter in, and you have the binoculars. I don't know if you have them all over the world, but
Yeah.
we have them in the United States. And I loved the airport. I loved it, and so I was so used to it. So 6 years old, I was watching helicopters take off and airplanes, Pan Am, and just international arrivals and departures at Kennedy Airport was a spectacular building. It was such a spectacular building because they flew flags of every country. It was all over the wall, all these flags, gigantic flags. And I'd walk with my mother, of course, always holding hands, and you would see everybody. I mean, people with all different headdresses and attire. It was just really like any movie that you would ever want to make. If you had a camera, Super 8 camera, which my mother did, it was just like you would see every walk of life. And I was so intrigued by that. So, yeah, and we had New York City Transit, which was very popular. And we took the trains everywhere, school buses and coach buses with day camp. I used to go to day camp, whatever you call it. I don't know what you call camp in other parts of the world, but we would go to camp. And we take coach buses to special trips. So maybe New York City was a big advantage for me, more than I know. But I saw everything. And I live near the airport, too. So they would always be flying over the house. So trains, yeah. It's interesting, Luke. So 15 for the bus. All right. There you go.
Yes.
And
Sorry.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm talking too much.
No, not at all. I was actually
Yeah,
going to ask you, you still work in transportation, like maybe you don't work in travel directly, but you
right.
still work in transportation. That's not that far off. It's maybe not
No. Yeah.
as,
Glamorous.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Although I'm sure you have some stories, like I'm sure that driving a bus in the New York area, in New York State, must be something.
Well, I tell you, I keep it simple. I really keep it simple. I don't have any crazy stories.
You
I
don't?
do. Well, there's one story I'm not going to tell on the show. It's a little bit X-rated, but it didn't happen on the bus. But anyway, listen, there's a lot of road in New York. There's a lot of hundreds of miles of road. Every so often, you're going to see a car on the side of the road, and whatever's going on in that car is none of my business. But it happened once, and everybody in the bus saw it as well because I was like, "Hey, what's that?" Oh, geez. Uh, we slowed down to make sure everybody was okay because it seemed like there was a lot of activity in the car and in the back seat there was some activity, but why they picked that spot I don't know, but that was my most momentous occasion. But really, I didn't mean to take the show down that road, Luke. My apologies. You can edit that out, but
Why?
I'll let you guys use your imagination what was happening. But anyway, in New York, in the Northeast, for me, it's the vistas. It's always the views. It's always the mountains. It's always the trees. The occasional house that just astounds you, how old it is or how beautiful it is. The farms, the farm animals. So where I live, in the Northeast, it's just always, um, it's. Listen, I'm an American, so for me, it's like, wow, this is America. This is like we've been here for over 200 years, and it's a lot. It's a little bit of patriotism, but it feels good to be in touch with other people all over the United States. But I feel the same way when I go to Spain, not Spain, Italy, or when I go to Romania. I'll feel like, wow, this is like it's another home. I could have lived here. I could have grown up here. I could have friends here. I could have worked here. It's an interesting feeling. But yeah, it's driving a bus was interesting. Driving a truck was interesting. But I wish I had, maybe gone a little bit further in the world of travel and just, you know what I'm saying, capitalize on my position where I could just hop on a train and go anywhere I want, or a plane or whatever. But what other? So Luke, we went off the beaten path. We went off into the weeds. We were supposed to talk about English mentality and then Romanian mentality and American mentality. Maybe you want to bring us back to the basics of the beginning of the show? Or how far off the track are we? What do you want to do?
So even when English people go, they broaden their horizons away from Spain,
Right.
they still manage to find a McDonald's or a KFC wherever they are.
Mm.
This is another frustration for me because when I'm in a place, like we were in Paris, I was eating snails. I'll eat anything from where I am.
Wow.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, that's of course the you're sort of like limiting yourself, right, for not exploring all of the facets of wherever it is that you're going. But then again, like there's comfort that people find, especially in a foreign place. Like there's also, yeah. Oh look, this is something that I'm familiar with. It's more. I think it's more like of a psychological comfort element, maybe.
Yeah.
Not everyone feels comfortable, in a completely foreign place, and it's hard to, I guess, if you're not used to being in that position, you kind of have to ease into it. I think you can't like just baby steps, right?
Right.
Maybe on your first travel, you're still gonna find a McDonald's, and then on your next trip, you're gonna like go one step further and so on like that. That can also be an approach, right? To
Well, I have a confession. I've never eaten a McDonald's while I'm travelling.
There you go. There you go. Your secret is good with us, Luke. Wow, that's great. So yeah, I couldn't imagine when we went to Italy back in 2019, my wife and we saw a KF in Switzerland. I saw a KFC and maybe a McDonald's. I can't remember. But I remember thinking, wow, there's no way I'm going to KFC today. I'm gonna. I think I told the story a couple of episodes
Yeah.
ago. We went on a. Do you remember this, Luke? I
I
went on
think
a funicular. Help me. Am I mispronouncing it? Funicular.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's a tram. We went
yeah.
up this mountain, and we got to the top. And there was this little shack. We're like, oh yeah, we're gonna eat Switzerland at the top of this mountain. After the funicular, what ride is on, looking at down at Lake Lugana or whatever, Lake Lugano or Lugana, whatever. And they had hot dogs on the menu. There was like no exotic Switzerland menu, Swiss menu. It was hot dogs. I wanted something Swiss. but I don't know even what Swiss food would be. But that's what they had, and I was hungry because it was lunch, and so yeah, I could if I couldn't have I couldn't have ordered anything exotic if I wanted to. They didn't have it on the menu. We're at the top of the mountain. Anyway, so they had hot dogs and we had mustard or whatever and a soda or maybe I had a beer. But I in the rest of Italy, we had a lot of what do you call that with the meats, the sliced meats, cucci. I'm not gonna say the right word. I'm missing the word. But anyway, like sliced meat and sliced cheese.
Oh God, I'm
Yes.
forgetting
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
weird.
I
I
can
With a
never
mean,
C. It
remember.
starts with a C. It starts with a C.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
All right.
it's
We'll get
common
back
word
to it.
too. It's not something that I don't use because it's pretty popular here too.
Yeah,
Do you
some
do a
sort
lot
of
of them for-
like a cutlery of type of. So anyway, so we had that, but we also had fish. We had fish, and we had, but there was no way. I don't. When I travel the United States, I'm kind of at the mercy of the local food. But if I go to another country, uh, I would definitely not want to go to McDonald's. That being said, if I ever do go to Japan or China, I would have a tough time. I'm not a sushi guy. I'm not a sushi guy, but you know, and India, we might have a guest from India in the future. I don't know. I don't know what I would eat. I would do my research before I left. That helps.
I'd be
I don't know
very
if you
careful
guys.
in India.
What's that, Luke?
I'd be very careful what you eat in India. If yeah,
Okay, go ahead. Expand on that.
well, it's a common thing to be sick in India from the food. Very common.
For tourists to be
for
sick from the
tourists, yeah,
food.
Yeah.
tourists, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and why is that? Why do you think?
Well, the research I've done this week, people think it's down to hygiene, but in fact it's down to the increased spice level.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's just we're not, our bodies are not used to that level of spice. I think at least my body
Really?
is used to that. Yeah.
Oh, I love
So
spicy foods, but
you like spicy foods, Luke?
I love it.
All right, so you haven't been to India.
No.
Alexandra, you haven't been to India.
No, no.
No, but we're okay. You guys have both agreed that most tourists go to India, they're going to eat that first night or first whatever, and there's a good chance they're going to get sick. And it's not because of hygiene, it's because of the spices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just the European stomach is not used to just the spices in general, or like the Western stomach, not just necessarily European. It's not used to those spices and the level of spice, like the spiciness, right? I just don't think, yeah, I don't think we're used to it, and I can see how that can cause an upset stomach. Yeah.
Can you prepare for that? Can you somehow spice adapt yourself before you leave the house, like weeks before?
I mean,
Does anybody?
maybe if you do it like across a really long time span, but I don't think you can just, quickly do anything to make it better. But probably, if you do it like this whole year, I'm gonna really prepare my body for that. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I think the
What
safe
spice?
thing to
Go
do
ahead, Lou.
I think the
Yeah.
safe thing to do is to eat on the safe side. Like maybe McDonald's to be on the safe side or to eat things you know.
Here's the thing, like we disparage McDonald's, but the thing is, there is something to be said about trying fast food chains products in different parts of the world because they will taste different. So, for instance, I remember like eating, I don't know, Burger King in Egypt, very different than having it in Portugal or like, so
Really?
yeah, 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 yeah.
What can you share with us? What's it's just a different saltiness, a different
Yeah,
meat.
different saltiness, different spices, right? Because they will adapt to the local cuisine. Different meat sources. So, for instance, I'll tell you like the best beef that I've ever had. I've had in Egypt. It's so amazing. It's so like
Wow.
yeah, yeah, great quality. So it's gonna depend like on the sourcing of the ingredients. It's gonna depend on the local spices because they will adapt right to whatever constitutes a local cuisine. So there can still be an experience, right, if you're paying attention.
I don't
Wow.
think if you go to India that you're going to find any beef products.
There you can find. Good question.
The cows are sacred
Yeah.
in India.
So you're not gonna find any. Yeah.
they don't kill cows in India because they consider the cow as sacred.
So so what do they do with their cows? They just milk them?
I think so.
But that's the this is, but I don't know. Is that the law, or is it just
I
that?
don't think it's a law, but I've seen a lot of because I've done a lot of research this week, and you see cows wandering through the streets. They're in the middle of the road. They just go where they want.
Okay.
Hmm. Do they? What about pigs? Not as sacred.
No,
Are they? Are they serving pork and
I
bacon?
think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to get a guest on the show one day and dispel these myths and these questions because I like beef. I'm a carnivore, so I eat meat all the time. So what do you know what the spices are that they eat that would possibly upset my body? What would make me
I
sick?
think it's just kind of chilies and stuff like that, and they're different kinds of chilies, and I don't know.
Hmm. All right, we're gonna have to find out because I spice my food pretty much. I like spicy food. Cayenne pepper, right? And
Yeah.
garlic powder, onion powder, salt and pepper, of course. And I could do others. I could add more. I wonder if we can get a travel tip, an India hack, how to spice your food before you leave the house to ease your stomach into that. That's an interesting situation, Luke. I got to think about this now. You know?
Yeah, because we don't think about um, a lot of the time maybe we don't think about the practicalities, of what we're gonna find when we're going to
Yeah,
a country. There's things that we kind of take for granted that are gonna be having an impact on us one way or another. I think just like this one with food in India, but also um, so many things that you cannot even predict because it's like, so for instance,
right.
like one example from Egypt is like you couldn't, like this whole idea of going out for a walk is just not something that people do, so you just kind of take a car everywhere, which makes sense because the temperatures are really high and often, depending on where you live, maybe the area where you're at, it's not going to be the safest. And so this whole concept of just going out for a walk is not a thing. And then maybe that's something that you're used to, you're doing in your neighborhood every day, and you're not going to be able to do some of those things that you're so accustomed to that you don't even think of. You're
Right.
probably not going to be able to do them abroad.
Right. All right. Well, other shows we've done, like Romania and these countries have gone to the top of my list. But I'm a little concerned about eating in India, so it hasn't gone to the top of my list. Well, although maybe we'll get a guest and we'll find out what spices I can prepare my stomach for, because I definitely want to eat when I get there. I want to eat some meat, so we'll see. Luke, what else we got today?
I have a question for Alexandra.
Yeah.
Um, is Romania a majority Christian country?
Yeah, most people in Romania will identify themselves as Christian. I mean, like the vast majority, some 90 something percent, will declare at the census that they're Christian. Yeah.
Because, as we know, the Pope has been sick this week, and it's not looking good for him at the moment.
Yeah, I just saw some news piece earlier. He was actually, his condition I think was getting worse today. He's not, Romania in specific is not necessarily. I mean, it's not a Catholic country, but Transylvania tends to be more Catholic. Because Transylvania used to be part of the Austrian Empire, right? As part of the Kingdom of Hungary, that was part of the Austrian Empire, right? And Hungarians are mostly Catholic, Catholic and Protestant. So some parts of Cluj, some people here that have been here for a really long time will also preserve that. And yeah, Catholicism is definitely something that is more prevalent here than other parts of the country. But I haven't really, I mean, I don't really follow Christianity news that much, I guess, or Christianity in general. I haven't really seen, I don't know, vigils being held or anything like that for the Pope. Is that the case in Britain? I mean, you guys have a very interesting history when it comes to religion and the Anglican Church. But how's I don't know, do you see any people, because they're probably still Catholics, right? Quite a few of them. Do you see anything? I don't know, any villages going on? Any public
I
meetings?
haven't seen anything in England, but I think now we have a very diverse culture now in England. But I've seen like a few priests visiting the Vatican from all around the world, from the UK, and speaking on the news about the Pope's health, and a lot of people are always travelling to the Vatican, but there's a different mentality maybe around this at the moment.
Which is what?
Like people travelling there and have a different mindset now, like thinking, oh, they're going there, thinking about the Pope's health and things like this at the moment.
So, I mean, it's been a long time since Henry VIII decided to break off from from the Pope, right? So I think maybe you've patched things up by now with him.
Wow.
That's a very interesting history of how you guys made your own. I mean, that sounds. I don't want to offend anyone. Made your own religion, but started your new church. It's not a different religion, but you started a new church. Sorry, Dave, you were going to say something.
No, not at all. I'm staying out of the whole Pope conversation. Honestly, I really have nothing to add. It's not my thing. You know,
Right.
I'm Pope free actually. So I'm afraid to make jokes, and it's not a funny situation. He's unhealthy, but we just talked about getting sick in India, and then we go on to the Pope not feeling well. So I'm assuming there's no connection between the Pope and eating something in India. You know, so nothing funny here. I'm not even going to try. So anyway, but let's hope he feels better and recovers. But it doesn't look as if even if he did, what do they call it? The Pope, not the Potency. There's a word for that. They're probably going to have to find somebody new. I mean, this is what we do. It's what they do. You know, he's been there for a while, right? 4 years, more than 4 years, 5 years. I don't know how long he's been there. This particular Pope.
I'm
I
not
think
exactly
longer,
sure.
no?
I don't know. I really don't know. But it's always interesting to watch, the American, television, how they go about discussing this. And, of course, we're going to get the talking heads like us. There'll be people talking about who's in line and how long is it going to take, what's next. And it's a whole thing in the media world about, that's my connection. That's my only connection really to the Pope, is that media world and watching how they cover it. And it just goes on and on and on. And boy, when it's over, when they light that smoke from the
Yeah.
chimney, whatever, then I know, oh God, we can get back to normalcy, because
It's all
American television will cover it like a football game. They will cover it like sports. They will have everybody talking about it. There'll be odds. There'll be strategies. There's going to be so much conversation about it. So it's going to be a major distraction. That's my connection to the Vatican, is the Papa. There's something with a letter P. I don't know the word, but that's my connection, is media. Who's watching the media cover it?
Is it a big? Is it being covered right now? Because Catholicism is not a big thing in the States, right? It's not major.
Well, the last couple of days it's been
Oh, really?
it's been
Okay.
Trump and no, the last couple of days it's been Trump and Zelensky.
Oh,
That whole thing. We have a thing going on right now, and that's really the majority of the media is our new president, our new old president, or whatever you want to call it. But it will work its way in, because we will get tired of it, and the media. It's all about this. It's all about the ratings, and they're going to go where the money is, and they're going to go where the ratings are. And the Vatican, the Pope it's going to be a big deal, and we will be setting up our trucks with the guys, and there'll be all these cameras, and it'll be nonstop coverage, nonstop. I'm
you know,
sure.
if that becomes a huge thing in the media, I will be relieved, because it means that there's really nothing else going on of of importance.
Right, 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 right. Well, it could mean that. It could mean we're just distracting us from the truth. But that's not what the show's about. We can go down that rabbit hole, Luke and Alexandra, right? But I don't think so. We've been doing this for an hour. Luke, do you have anything else you want to discuss as far as, English mentality, Romanian mentality, American mentality, or the Pope?
Or
No,
have
not.
we offended the English enough for
I,
today?
I think so. I think so. Have we have
Um,
we filled the quota? We've offended enough.
so you're travelling on Tuesday, Dave.
Yes, I am.
You're driving to Gainesville.
Gainesville, Florida. It's 1,000 miles
8 hours.
by car. By car.
A hell of a lot.
Yes. Yeah, I did it last year. This is my second consecutive year. It's a working vacation. I will be providing, I know we do this a lot, but I will be providing security at this facility. And I say that in quotes because really my joke is I just wear a shirt that says secure. In fact, this year it doesn't say security. It has the company logo. It's called. Oh, you might know this, Luke. It's called the Celtic Knot. My company's logo is the Celtic Knot. I should have. I don't. I'll show it next show. Maybe I. Anyway, I wear a shirt like this, and I stand there. Right. I might stand somewhere. I have no communications. I have no weapons, but I am security.
How are you security with no communications and no weapons? And in
It,
Florida, why do you have no weapons in Florida? First of all, like,
That's true. That's a good question. But this company is hired to hire other people like me to stand and well, there's people that are in charge of parking and we did and seating. We show people to the seats, but it's kind of like it's performative. There's a good word. It's performative when we really do need security, believe me, I'll go find somebody. There will be local police. There will be somebody who will know what to do. There are medical people involved. But I joke. I mean, I really do joke. I stand there, and I've done this many times with this company. Part time, and I just stand there and I wear a shirt that says security. But it gives people a sense that something good is happening where
yeah.
in my area that don't worry, that guy is in charge. No, I'm not in charge at all. I have nothing to do with anything, but I have a shirt on. So it's interesting. It's but it's fun because I go to a certain event. It's an auto racing event and I get to see it for free. Yeah, it's a whole con I got going on. It's a scam. They pay me, but I'm right on top of the action. It would be like if Luke went to a Coventry game and was able to stand on the pitch, right on the pitch, on the sideline. You call it a sideline, Luke, right? So you're standing right next to the team, Coventry, and you don't have to pay to get in. You're just standing there, and you have a shirt that says security. And they go, "Hey, in case somebody runs on the field, what are you going to do, Luke?" You go, "I don't know." If they run on the pitch, that's their problem. I'm over here. I'm just paid to wear a shirt. But the real police will show up and they'll take care of it. So that's my game. That's my scam for this week,
Well,
Alexandra.
maybe
So
maybe let's not air this episode before the event.
I know. No, it's okay. Everybody knows. I mean, listen, I think everybody knows. I don't think anybody's looking at me to go, but we never have a problem also, by the way. I've been very, very fortunate. I never have a problem in the areas that I'm at. I'm very friendly to people. I smile. I say hello. They say hello to me. I get to know them over the weekend. I make friends, and we're all there to have a good time. Nobody has gotten out of control, and I've been very fortunate. And I see all these events for free, and they pay me, which is nice. And every so often you get a free cup of coffee, or maybe a nibble of some food left over from some banquet, some buffet table. It's a whole thing. But I will be driving down. That's the point of this show is I will be driving down. This year I'll be driving in my Honda Fit. I don't know what they call it around the world, but it's a Honda Fit, and it's a smaller car. I might make a video of it, and I will not be staying in a hotel. I will not be staying in a motel. I will be living in my Honda Fit for the week.
For the
That's it.
week.
For the
Oh my
week.
God.
Yeah, yeah,
You,
yeah.
you know this whole RV living is a thing now, right? It's a trend.
Yes.
It's like people
Yes.
have.
I love it. Yes. Van life.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Van life. Van life.
Damn
Yeah.
life.
So I know Luke is a little bit intrigued by that. Where yeah, well in America we have what we call Planet Fitness. I don't
Yeah.
know what you have over there. So It's everywhere. Planet Fitness is everywhere. And if it wasn't Planet Fitness, it would be 24-hour fitness. There's all these different names of these gyms, these fitness clubs. So for $10 a month, I have the black card, so it's like $20 a month. So for $10 a month, I could shower. I can work out, of course, but I can shower. I can change my clothes, um, and I can. It's like having a locker room for free all over the United States, wherever there's a Planet Fitness. So that's where I go. I go and I work all day. Then I go shower. When I got my, I'm all fresh and clean. I go back to the car and I find a place to park, and I go to sleep. And I can't afford a Hilton. I can't afford any of that. So I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do this if I had to stay in a hotel. It wouldn't be worth it to me. So that's it. That'll be my next week. Next week, if we do a show next Saturday, I don't know if I'll be able to be there, but I don't think we're going to have a show next Saturday or whatever. But yeah,
I think Saturday we're going out for a birthday meal because
right. There you go.
on Tuesday when you drive, it'll be my birthday on Tuesday.
Happy birthday.
Oh yeah.
30. How old are we now? 30, 31, Luke?
Something like that.
Something like that. Something like that. So yeah, so that's my week, and the weather's supposed to be nice in Florida, and I'm looking forward to that. And but in Florida, just like that, here comes a cloud,
Yeah.
and it's a drizzle. That happened last year, and this event, I know we're going to go a little bit long here. This event is this auto racing event is drag racing, and they burn. There's a certain class of cars they burn nitro. And last year there was this humidity, and you could see at night, you could see the cloud, you could see the humidity, and they would burn this nitro, and I'm breathing it all weekend. And I got to tell you, by the time I left Sunday, I lost a lot of brain cells. I was a mess. And it lasted for days. I went home. I went, oh my God, it's worse than a hangover. It's crazy. It was really hard. It was painful. But yeah, this year I don't think I'll be in the same spot. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be elsewhere. But anyway, it's the weather can change and the humidity. It can be strong in Florida, and the rain can come at any time, and it comes when it wants and it leaves when it wants. It's Florida. There's nothing you can do about it. But I look forward to the long drive, and I have my comfortable car, my radio, and I love driving. I still enjoy it, even though I do it for a living. And that's my favorite mode of transportation. But if I could afford it, maybe I would fly. But flying seems to be very risky these days. And we've had more, by the way, since the last show we've had even more accidents, more problems with flight in this country, and I think elsewhere in the world. It happens every day. We just don't always cover it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't have time for that, Luke and Alexandra, but we really could do a show every week about the problems of travel. The problems of travel. I don't know if we want to do that. What's that, Luke?
We can do that in the future.
Yeah, we could do that. We can have a whole nother show. World travel disasters is like
Oh.
every week. Yeah, right,
Yeah,
Alexandra?
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I think, like you said, like we weren't in the past, we weren't necessarily paying attention, right? But all sorts of incidents happen all the time, I'm sure,
All the time.
and we just aren't aware. And be it something major, be it just some plane going off the landing strip, that actually I think is not that infrequent. I think probably it happens all the time. We just weren't necessarily paying attention, and now all of a sudden everyone's covering it, everyone's like focusing on that, and so we're just but I think
Yeah.
you mentioned that in the past, like now it's just that everyone's zooming in sort of on this type of event, right? So we're just all paying attention.
Yeah.
Um,
It's all media. It's all media,
yeah.
and it's they'll show us what they think we want to see, and we'll watch it because they give it to us. It's like, we don't have really much of a choice, but it is fast. And I'm sure India. Once we have an India guest, I know there's probably big bus issues they have. They have some roads out there, those roads that are always cliffside. I don't understand the cliffside bus routes. Those always intrigue me, But
They have some insane traffic in the
yeah,
country.
right.
I've
Yeah,
seen. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I've seen some wild videos. I don't. I mean, maybe, I don't know if this may be super ignorant thing to say, but I don't know that it's always necessary to have a license.
No, right. That's not offensive. I think the license is totally optional. We will find out once we have a guest video. We will ask that question. Is license optional? Is anybody really checking? Is there training? Is there education? Is it, do you have brakes, at all on your vehicles? Half of YouTube is
Yeah.
India, right? Whatever, that whole area of travel. We had a show in the United States called I forgot the name of the show, like World's Most Dangerous Roads or something. And it was these guys, they were truck drivers in the United States. We had a show called Ice Road Truckers,
I saw
right? Was
that.
that international?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
Ice
think
Road Truck?
that's, yeah.
Right, right. So then there was a spin-off. There was a spin-off that show where they drove, I think in India or one of those countries where the roads were right along the cliff. And they would show you all the footage of the buses over the years that went down the cliff. And I'm thinking, I want to go to work, but I don't want to. I don't want to die going to work. I don't want to. That's a hell of a commute. But yeah,
But speaking of that, do you feel more anxious about flying with the focus being, air travel incidents in the news?
I wouldn't. But not any. I don't think any more or less. Something, Alexander. I think a lot of my life I live in denial. I look around and I'm like, oh, I sort of create the movie. Oh, there's the priest, and there's the family, and there's the husband and wife that are.
Exact same.
Do you do that?
I do the exact same thing, and I start thinking God wouldn't kill those children.
Right, right. I'm thinking about everybody has a story, and I want. They're looking at me going, "Hey, is that guy? Is he good luck for us or whatever?" It's like every movie, like because remember all those airport movies,
Yeah.
Airport 75, Airport. That was big in this country with Charlton Heston or whoever, I don't remember. But yeah, that's what I do. I create a movie, and I tell you what I've done. On certain flights, I will bring my journal. I don't journal regularly. I just wanted that to be clear. I could, but I don't. But for some reason, when I get on an airplane, I like to journal what I'm feeling because if for some reason somebody finds this book in the ocean, it's my last thoughts, But it keeps me busy and it also helps me relax and maybe fall asleep. Because usually, as soon as that plane goes like this, I start to doze off. It's a very strange thing. I noticed that on my flights. We're on the runway, everything's good, and as soon as we do this, we start going up. I start to get tired, and I'll lay back and I'll zonk out. I'll zonk out for a while until somebody does something and then wakes me up, and then it's all over. But yeah, no, I have no anxiety. Would you guys? Would you have anxiety if you had to fly today? Not you, Luke. You
Well,
two.
when we went to Brazil, I told this a few podcasts ago. When we went to Brazil, we had awful turbulence.
Right,
Really scary.
right.
Like,
Tell
it
us.
was like an hour of turbulence.
Wow, an
It was,
hour.
and the plane was violently shaking, and there was noise. Like I thought we were going into the ocean. I'll be honest. It
All
was
right.
scary.
So, did we talk about that in depth? Did the pilot come on and comfort you? Was there any offer of comfort?
Not really, but we spoke to the stewardess, and then she said, "Oh, it was fine. It was normal. I wasn't scared." But that's just to calm the passengers down. That's
Sure.
not the truth.
That's not the truth. You found out afterwards, like you did
No,
some
but
research.
I'm pretty sure that she was not telling the truth. I think that's her job to keep everyone calm and to say, "Oh no, that I was calm. I wasn't worried." And
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. But she's not going to say to you, Luke, this is really unusual. I'm a little bit concerned. That would be a big mistake because then, then the drinks, but that'd be good for business because people would start drinking more, maybe. But did you get an explanation? Were you at 35,000 feet? Were you at the highest height?
yeah,
And there was still all that turbulence. Was there?
yeah,
Did you look out the window? Was there bad? It was nighttime. Could you tell?
it was nighttime.
Well,
Yeah.
oh, so you really couldn't tell what the weather
We were in
was.
the middle of the ocean at the time, so it made the stress even more.
But maybe that's
Eh,
not that uncommon when flying over the ocean, no? I think it's pretty.
I don't
From what
know.
I've heard, it does get pretty rough. Sorry, Dave, you were gonna say something.
Well,
No. Go ahead.
Nelly said she's been obviously flew to Brazil and back a number of times, and it's the first time she experienced that as well. So
Interesting. A lot of rattling. You're hearing a lot of noise. The airplane
yeah,
is moving. All that luggage up there is moving. And are people making noises? Are they making like, oh, like that's the worst. I hate when people make noises. Did you hear a lot of noises?
not really. I was more paying attention to if Nelly was feeling calm, and how I was feeling as well.
Is she a hand squeezer? Was your hand
Yeah,
being squeezed?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's all that. Okay.
After that, I spoke with her, and she was saying she wasn't scared, but she gets travel sick, so she felt
Oh,
extremely sick after that.
oh, terrible. I never had that. I never had a bad flight. I've had some rough landings where the plane sort of does a weird thing and all that stuff. But I'm really, I know this is cold, but you really are making a contract with God when you decide to fly. You are, or whoever, whatever your higher powers, you are giving up all your rights.
Yeah.
You should not be in the air. None of us should be in the air. Human beings should never be. I'm not going to be a spokesman for an airline anytime soon. We should never fly. We should never be flying because it's ridiculous. There's no need to be that high. There's no need to travel that far. This is not a life necessity, and you are totally playing against the odds. It's just a lot of metal, a lot of luggage. It's ridiculous to
I
fly,
think
but we do it.
I think it is a life necessity, and I'm willing to take that risk.
Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying. But you can live. I think you can live without flying. But you want to do. Listen. Go ahead, Alexandra. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that I definitely, I share the same opinion. Like every time I get on a plane, I think I've had a good life. It's fine.
Right.
I am perfectly fine if this is where it's fine. I agree to that. Like I have that thought in my head. I'm doing this. I'm making this conscious decision right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and it's fine. Whatever happens, happens. So,
Yeah. I envision my flight, my disaster flight, where we're going down and everybody is screaming, and I'm going, well, you know, what did you think was going to happen? Did you really think, did you really think we were going to land? Because I really thought, no, this is probably going to be the last flight ever. This not only will it be the last flight for me, this will end travel for everybody because there's no reason for this plane to be going down. And when they find out, they're going to go, yeah, this is dumb. We're not doing this anymore. I'm just assuming that people will come to their senses. I know this is probably the worst show to talk about this on, but it's like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Why am I flying? But yeah, I wouldn't be screaming. I just listen. I drive. When I drive my truck, there's all these things happening all around me, and I don't make noises. I don't moan. I don't groan. I don't have road rage. And when I used to drive a bus, I would always hear noises in the back, like all that, like that whole gasping. I don't gasp. I try not to gasp ever if I can avoid gasping, like that. So I don't think I do. I try to avoid it. But yeah, Alexandra, it's been good, and I'm very fortunate to have the time to fly and afford it. Obviously, Alexandra, you spoke about your hitchhiking days, so now you're flying. It's like, yeah, this is pretty good. And if this
yeah,
is the last flight, you know,
it's
it's
fine.
been good. It's been
Yeah.
fun. Yeah. So I don't have any of that. I do look at everybody online before we board. I want to know who's the terrorist, who's gonna be the pain in the ass on the flight, who's gonna want drinks, who's gonna who's gonna go to the bathroom at the wrong, like all that. I'm curious, like who's gonna behave, who's not gonna behave. That for me is fun. It's like just look around. What's happening? Who am I flying with? It's a contract. It's unspoken. It's like you're now going to be best friends with 350 people. We're not best friends, but you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I don't want these people in my house, but I'll get on a plane with them.
No, but it's that the risk of dying together kind of tends to unite people in a strange way, I think. I've
Yeah.
never done this before where I try to identify, like I try to look at the for some reason, I mean, for me it is very stupid, but it's comforting to see like children on a plane. Because I think
Right.
it increases the chances of survival in the eyes of God. For some reason, he's not.
I like that. That's a good thought. That's a good thought. Alexandra, I never thought about the last time we flew Emirates. Who's it called? What's the airline? Is it called Arab Emirates or just
Uh,
Emirates?
Good
Yeah,
question. I
Emirates,
don't
I
yeah,
know.
think.
I always
yeah.
hear Emirates, but
Emirates, yeah. There was a lot of kids. There were a lot of kids on that flight, and they were noisy. And it's fine, they're kids. I get it. But they were like 2 rows in front of me, and I didn't say a thing. But it's a good thought. Like maybe if there's a lot of kids on the plane, will be spared. And and yeah, it's a good thought. But yeah, I don't think about it. I,
no, I
I'm in
think
denial.
I think about it. I think about it when I board the plane, and then I also know that statistically it's the safest means of transportation there is.
Right,
Also,
right,
that most of the crashes happen either at landing or takeoff. So weirdly enough, when there's turbulence, you're statistically safest, right? Because you're
right, right,
so
right.
I take some comfort in that, but also, in if usually if something does happen, it's instant death, and that's also nice. I mean, that's
Instant, yeah. Let's hope for instant death. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Hey, I got a question for you guys, so we can end on a happy note, maybe a happy note, because we're going a little bit long. Have any of you ever benefited from overbooking?
No.
no, that's not. I don't think
Oh,
people would be still be. No, I haven't heard that in Europe. I think that's
okay.
mostly happens in the States. I haven't
Oh,
heard.
is it really? It could be just a states thing. I don't know. Luke, no?
No.
All right, so quick story. A friend of mine years ago, 100 years ago, we're on this plane. We're going to Daytona to see the Daytona 500, big race, big NASCAR race. So Kennedy Airport. It's February. February. It's packed. It's Friday. The place is. It could have been Thursday. I don't remember. It was packed. Everybody's flying on the weekend, and we're going to Daytona for the Daytona 500 for the whole weekend. And I'm with my friend, but my friend is older. I'm like 15. He's like 45 or whatever. My racing dad. I call him my racing dad. He's long gone now. But anyway, so we go to Daytona and we're getting on the plane. We're walking and I'm just I've been on a plane before, but not often. So he looks at me as we're walking in down the runway, whatever, into the plane. He goes, "Listen, this flight is packed. The airport is packed. Whatever I do, you do. Just follow my lead. I'm telling you right now. And we're walking and we're talking down that tunnel to get on the plane. That's the thing that comes out of the building, whatever you call that. And he's saying, whatever I do, you do. If I raise my hand, you raise your hand. And I said, what? What are you talking about? He says, this flight. I think this flight is overbooked. I go, yeah. Well, what does that mean? He goes, we're gonna get something out of this. I go, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm 15 years old. All right, whatever you say, I'll do it. And I'm telling you, we do the luggage thing overhead and we sit down in the seats. And almost immediately, as soon as our butts touch the seat, the stewardesses come on the PA system, say, ladies and gentlemen, whatever, my name is whatever, just want to let you know this flight is overbooked. If anybody would like to get the next flight out, we will reward you. And as soon as she starts talking, my buddy grabs my hand. We got our hands up. They were the first 2 volunteers, like, pick us, pick us. And I'm like, what's happening? I don't know what's happening. She says, if you wouldn't mind, we'll put you on the next available flight, which nobody knows when that's going to be. We don't know if the next flight's going to be overbooked. But she said, we will give you, as a reward for the inconvenience, one free round trip for the next year, 365 days, to anywhere in the continental United States. I think it had to be on that airline. I'm not really sure. But my friend grabbed my hand. We both have our hands up. So it was me, my buddy, a priest, a husband, and a wife. And I think that's about it. It was like 5 or 6 of us. We all got up. We got off the plane. And the luggage, I guess, kept on going. I don't even remember. But we got free round trip tickets for a year, which I didn't use. My buddy used it. I think he went to Daytona the following year. But yeah, we benefited from overbooking. And there's a whole thing about overbooking in the United States. There's a whole rule book about it where you can really work it to your advantage. They'll offer champagne. There's all these different levels of reward for getting off an overbook. I don't know how they overbook. I would love to speak to a representative one day. Like, how do you even do that? You only have 300 seats. Why would you book 305? I don't understand that, but they do. Maybe they don't do it anymore, but I know they did. So anyway, that's my story. We
That's
caught
a
the next flight.
very interesting topic to explore because
Yeah,
here it
yeah,
would be outrageous if an airline overbooked. I don't like people would not appreciate that at all. Like,
yeah,
there
yeah.
would be
I didn't.
a scandal. No, it wouldn't really. I don't think people would ever like.
Romain
Yeah.
Romanians would not be tolerant of an overbooking, even though they got a free. You got a free round trip ticket for the next year.
No, I mean, but Europeans in general, I think they would not do that. They would not tolerate that. It would be
All right.
such an annoyance. No, it would be in the news. It would be like reporters. How did this happen? How did you guys manage to overbook as an airline? It was
Yeah.
negative reviews. People would be like, I will never fly whatever
Right.
airline ever
Right.
in my life. No, it would be like,
Interesting.
yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, we somehow we got to figure out that conversation, who we can get on as a guest to discuss that. But I will tell you, the next flight was not nearly as crowded. It was not, and I don't understand the imbalance. I don't know how that happens. But by the way, that was like 1977, 78. I was 14 or 15. So that was a long time ago. I don't know if they still do that. But I have read articles. I heard stories about overbooking and the rules of it and how to benefit from that. But if we didn't raise our hand, other people would raise their hand and they would have gotten free tickets. So we would have stayed on the plane. And it was only a matter of hours. We were on another flight. And of course, now with social media, I would have totally taken full advantage of that. We probably interviewed the priest and the husband and the wife and say, hey, let's talk about this. We're now in a special class of people who, that were overbooked and, what are you going to do with your ticket? Where are you going to go with that? It's a whole viral video of that, probably. But anyway, that's my story. But you
I
guys
am
never did, so go
no,
ahead.
I am
Yeah.
amazed that that's not grounds for a lawsuit in the United States. I
Got a
think
free ticket. I know. It sounds crazy. But it's I don't know if it still happens, but we will find out in World Travel Podcast. At some point, we will get airline representatives or somebody on here who knows the law. Well, Luke will absolutely do the research because you're good at that, and you will find out about overbooking and why it doesn't happen in Romania, but it does happen or it did happen in the United States. It might not happen anymore, Alexandra. I don't know. I really don't know, but there's it's an interesting. I
yeah.
mean, there, you can't add seats to an airline, to an airplane. So why would you book 305? I know some people don't show up, but they did pay for the seat. So it's a little odd that you would sell the seat twice. I don't know how that happens. I don't know if it happens anymore. So anyway, there you go. 1977, I got a free round trip ticket, which I did not use. My friend used it. So there you go. All right. What else we got, Luke? Are we good? That's a long show.
Yeah, I think that's it. I just want to say at the end, we need to put a warning on this podcast. Maybe switch off the earphones at this minute. Don't listen to plane accidents and things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah,
Right. Well, it is what it is.
We've definitely
It's
talked about. Sorry to interrupt. Just gonna say like, we talked about illness, death, and it's been like a very logical progression because first we started with illness and we slowly went toward death, and that I love a good.
right. But yeah, and I try to end us off on free tickets. So, I thought we would all have a great overbooking story, but all right, so there'll be others. We covered a lot today. We covered the Pope, we covered air travel, bus travel, hitchhiking in Romania by young Alexandra. One day she'll show us pictures of her on the side of the road with her thumb out, with her boots on and her long hair and her bandana or whatever she's got going on. I
I
can only
was
imagine what that looked like. What?
I was into heavy metal music at that time, and so I was like,
Alexandra into heavy metal on her way to seeing Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Saxon, right? Yes, am I speaking the
um,
right? No,
no. But the thing is, I would have, but they weren't visiting Romania back then.
no,
We weren't on the
no.
on the world tour map at that time.
Right.
Now we've started to be known as a
Okay,
good stop on the world tour map of different musicians. But back then, no.
good.
But
All right.
I was having the whole with the black makeup and the dark clothing and all that.
Goth? Did you go goth, Alexandra?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, one show, Luke, we will have to share young pictures of us in concert mode. That's a little bit of world travel. The bands that we've seen,
Yeah.
what's the furthest that we've gone? if I start talking now, we'll have a whole nother hour. But we should do that, Luke. We'll do a show about all the concerts we've been to, how far we went, the furthest we went, and what modes of transportation. I think that'll be an interesting show about music and travel. How about that? Food and travel, music and travel, all of that. Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right. Great.
So enjoy your road trip on Tuesday, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
I appreciate
see
it.
you catch up in the week, Alexandra. Maybe we'll have a guest meeting in the week with our India guest.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And for those who are watching us on YouTube, right, don't forget to leave your comments down below. Click like, subscribe, share if you could. We love the engagement. If there's something you like or didn't like about this particular episode, we'd like to hear about it. We're also on Twitter, also known as X, under, what's the handle, Luke?
Wide Travel Pod.
Okay. Wide
Travel Pod.
We'll
Travel
link it in
Pod.
the description.
Yeah, everything will be in the description. And we're also on Facebook, right? Do we have a Facebook group?
We have a Facebook group, Worldwide Travel Podcast.
Okay. Where else are we? Are we on anything else yet?
on
We're getting there.
TikTok.
We're on TikTok.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got to figure that out. I don't know what. All right. We'll figure out something. We're going somewhere. All right. That's it. It's a lot of. Do we have an email? How do they contact you, Luke, if they want to be a guest on the show?
Oh, that's a
They
great
can
question.
contact us at WorldwideTravelPodcast@outlook.com.
Worldwide Travel Podcast at Outlook.com. Outlook.
That's it.
Wow, good for you. Okay, there you go. All right, we're getting there. Little by little, this is episode number 4. I think we've
5.
done 5. Boy, time is flying. There we go. No echo, and we started almost on time, and we went long. We traveled the world once again with the Worldwide Travel Podcast. Alexandra, great to see you, and I hope you have an easier travel mode than hitchhiking. I know you do. You've come a long way. Luke, good to see you, and Dave Kang here. And we'll see you guys. If not next week, we will see you soon.
See you.
See you.